So I'm going to do a series of videos on rethinking stress. Some of this came from a TED Talk video. From Kelly McGonigal. Dr. McGonigal wrote a book called The Upside of Stress. Let me just go back and talk a little bit about what you're seeing today. I've got a 30-pound weight vest on, a 20-pound weight belt, and over in the back over there, I have my Nordic track, where it's like cross-country skiing, except I can increase the resistance on my legs, on my arms, or both. You see, what we know and what I'm doing is a thing called high intensity intervals, where I get up to like heartbeats of 130, 140, and then come back down, and then stress that again, and then stress it again, about 10 times, 2 or 3 times a week. We know that routine stress not only is not bad for us, it's good for us. So why do we think that physical stress is good for us, but psychological or emotional stress is not? We need to have some more thoughts about what stress is. In this series of videos, we're going to be talking about rethinking stress, balance. You know, Janice gets frustrated when I start talking about this because she says, all you want to do is just be super gung-ho. No, I don't. You know, when I wake up at 3 in the morning, the last thing I want to do is get out of bed and then just have loss of sleep for the rest of the day, think poorly, have cortisone, increase my risk for insulin resistance the next 36 to 48 hours. I don't want to do that. I want to de-stress and I want to get back to sleep. And I work very hard with mindfulness, breathing exercises, and other things to accomplish that reversal from stress. But there are times when we want to focus on stress and yes, even invite it. But first of all, we need to question our definition of stress. What are the symptoms? Are they always destructive? Is there a way to develop courage to grow from stress? That's obviously where we're going with this. Growth, not just wearing down. And as we go through this, we'll talk a lot about the physical components. For example, hormones associated with stress. Epinephrine is obviously fight or flight. Everybody knows about that. Cortisol is a long-term epinephrine. Everybody knows about that. But did you know about DHEA Dehydroepiandrosterone? That is a response to stress, but it helps us rebuild our brain after stressful episodes, activities. How about oxytocin? Everybody's heard of fight or flight, but how many of us have really thought about tend and befriend? You see, epinephrine is focused for fight or flight, but oxytocin, the hugging hormone, is more focused on tend and befriend. And maybe that's a way we should be looking at stress as well. Now, at the end of the series, we'll get deep into a concept that has come through this issue of studying stress throughout history. We'll study Viktor Frankl, for example. He's got a great quote. Between stimulus and response, there's a space. That space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. You may not remember Viktor Frankl. He wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. He was in the Nazi concentration camps and discussed his observations of himself and others as they suffered through it. And in his perspective, people that had a purpose were people that survived. And guess what? We're going to talk about a couple of recent JAMA published articles which talk about purpose and survival. One was in the concentration camp survivors. Concentration camp survivors have been shown to survive longer than people that didn't go into a concentration camp. Now, there's a whole bunch of potential reasons, survivor bias and stuff like that. We'll talk about that at that time. But it really looks more like purpose. And here's another spoiler. We'll talk about another study, the association between life purpose and mortality among U.S. adults older than 50. Again, a recent JAMA published article. And guess what? For those of you who are epidemiology geeks, there's a clear dose response, meaning it's not likely to be something else in the environment that we missed. The thing that appears to be helping people live longer is their scores on a objective test of having a purpose in life. So again, hopefully we'll have some more videos to share with you soon, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Why wait for a disease and hope for a cure? I used to be an ER doc. My name is Ford Brewer. I quit ER after a few years because it was just so frustrating. Most of the things bringing people into the ER are things that should have been prevented, including heart attack, stroke, number one cause of death, number one cause of permanent disability. People think that you're just going to have those and that they're not predictable. Both of those are wrong. They are predictable, and you don't have to have them. Usually it's lifestyle. Lifestyle is more important than supplements and even prescription drugs and even stents and surgery. But the current times are tough. Major financial impact with the lockdowns that most states have been going through. We've been working on a way to make this much more affordable with a subscription process. And that's exactly what we're announcing today. We've got two levels. One is the Silver membership, where you get access to our courses, a private webinar each month, and access to our supplement store and supplement recommendations and prescription. Or I would suggest even more so, the Gold membership. You can get a script for a Freestyle Libre and find out what your blood sugar metabolism's doing on a daily basis. And you can get a lab order for inflammation, OGTT, and insulin survey. You can also get a 30-minute one-on-one with me. So I'm looking forward to seeing you. Cost is no longer an excuse. So if you're interested, go to go.prevmedheartrisk.com/prevmed-subscription or call us at 859-721-1414, 859-721-1414, or email us at myhealth@prevmedheartrisk.com. Looking forward to seeing you. Thank you.